How's it going, everybody? My name is Joshua Youngkin. I am a senior here at ODU, and this is my presentation on my work-life spillover slash crossover literature review. And yeah, anyways, let's get right into it. One of the first things that I talked about in the intro was, is it even possible? Is like that proper balance between work and life even possible? And in a lot of senses, I say no, because both identities, I feel like, affect who you are as a person. Like your work ethic and your identity at work can also then bleed over into your home life, and your work ethic can bleed into your ethics and your work ethic about doing stuff at home, and vice versa. The stuff you learn at home can translate to how you are as a person at work. So I feel like the spillover in that sense, in like a longer term, like characteristic type of spillover is an element to it. But and more often than not, spillover is talking about moments, stress, and anxieties that translate from either home or work. Like how you can have anxieties and events at home that cause you to be just not in the right spot mentally, and then that negative mental space can then translate over to your mental space at work, and vice versa. How work and situations at work can then affect your mindset and your feelings at home. I feel like it mainly discusses how anxieties and stressors translate into other aspects and other roles that we play. And I feel like another area slash time frame about spillover that I liked to focus on in recent times, that kind of goes along with this point very well, was like the whole COVID lockdown, when millions of people were stuck in their houses, and rather than go to work physically like they normally do, they had to go to work digitally at home. So it kind of caused a blend of work life, home life, and social life all together. So rather than it just spilling over, all those identities and all those like areas and identities of our life all mixed together. So rather than spilling over, they mixed together and overflowed into each other. And I feel like the isolation, like the social isolation that the pandemic caused, like that world event spilled over into people's work and home lives, because that lack of connection and communication with people affected a lot of people negatively, and just caused them to be in like bad mental spots like it did me. And I feel like work ideologies could be another thing that could affect spillover, like like American work ideologies, like that always on go mindset, like that. It's almost a mindset where like the government and the higher ups who have created and perpetuated these ideologies want the ideal worker to prioritize work over any other avenue of their lives. And I feel like the companies and just organizations in general care more about how the worker can benefit the company, rather than what sort of environment can I create for the employee to want to work here longer and sustain a good work ethic. They're focusing on the short-term revenue rather than the long-term benefits that they could be doing. And in due turn, it's not really organizations' faults, more or less, as it is like the fault of an ideology and a mindset. And I feel like that plays a big portion into how work life can spill over into different avenues for people. And like I said before, the whole ideal worker norm, where people need to put work over anything else in order to be termed a good worker, and just like the the culture that we live in prioritizes consumerism, money, and overworking over having a proper work-life balance and just an overall balance of priorities. And I feel like it's just a very like negative and harmful ideology and just mindset to be in for a long period of time that we kind of don't really think about because it's the norm. And to go along with that, I feel like setting boundaries within the workplace is good in general. It's good to set boundaries with just about anybody, but setting boundaries within the workplace can help mitigate that spillover effect. Because if you're able to communicate with the people at work so that you can create a better work environment for yourself, work and life won't really spill over into each other as much, or at least when it does, you're able to bounce back quicker than you would if you otherwise didn't have that support. And I feel like you need, in order to be a good worker, you need the support of both your place of work as well as support from home. And I feel like both elements of support go into that being that quote unquote good or ideal worker. Because if your home life is sustainable, then your mindset and your workplace overall and your work ethic and your mindset at work will also be sustainable. And I feel like there's some theories that people went over, like Clark's work family border theory and Ashforth's boundary theory, which are a good like set of theories and like studies and just like they're essentially just ideas that people like delved into to try and get a better understanding of work-life balance and work-life boundaries in general. And like I said, I feel like setting work-life boundaries and just boundaries in general is important to just about anybody in the workplace. And again, I feel like the work-life balance affects gender as well. It can affect each gender differently, and that is in part due to the systematic oppressions and discriminations that women have been dealt with for so long that it kind of is just built into our system. And that sort of discrimination, historical discrimination, has translated into the workplace and how spillover can affect that. And I feel like this research can benefit me by giving me a sort of a base of operations where I can use this research and I can use this project to then add on to it and develop this sort of like study and like understanding of spillover so that I can benefit myself in a way that I can try to mitigate and I can try to learn ways for myself that mitigate and help control spillover and just that good balance between work and home. And yeah, I feel like setting boundaries, understanding how it affects gender as well as how spillover can sometimes overflow are all important things that I feel like everybody should understand so that you can try and see how spillover affects you in your life and what ways and avenues you can take to try and help mitigate it and just create better, healthier ways of coping. So, thank you.